make sure people aren't holding on to those activities. Because when they hold on to those activities, they're not able to do the rest of their job, thus violating their own job description. Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Donahue Piro here. Excited to spend a little bit of time with you on this podcast talking about delegation in an insurance agency. I feel like this whole week I've been in like a little delegation black hole with agents of hearing all the same things. And it's interesting because a lot of the agencies will always say the same things about delegation. Oh, I can't. My customers only want to talk to me. Or, oh, well, they don't know what they're doing, or they're so busy. Or, well, if I want something done right, I have to do it myself. And there's only a handful of things that we ever hear about delegation, but it is so, so critical. And I want to remind everybody that coming into the next hard market swing, which will be coming out of the hard market, it will be slow, very painfully slow. Paint will dry faster than we'll get out of it. But we will need to free up some different time to do good faith remarketing, capitalize on new business. And so time is our biggest resource. And that's why when I turned 40, I created our agency efficiency program, because I was just so over hearing about how busy everybody was, but people aren't working in their roles. They're spending time with the wrong customers. They aren't delegating. And that's when I was like, hold on, we need to have a whole factory reset of many agencies. And that's why today I want to talk about, let's look at our workflows and how we delegate. How do we empower people? How do we get delegation to stick? So first and foremost, I think that we have to overcome this idea that people get to choose everything that they do at their own desk level. I think agencies that are really successful have different departments and divisions. And I want to paint the picture for the long haul. We have a lot of people that will be retiring out of this industry, and they have deserved it. They are ready. They should be spending time with their grandkids, go to the beach, take a load off, right? But in order to that, we need to beef up new entry-level team members into an agency. And the way that we do that is creating entry-level roles that the senior team delegates into, whether that's payments or processing or quoting, any of the things that are out there. And we beef up their skill sets and let the seasoned team do what they do best, which is more complicated matters, experienced matters. And we also need to make sure that through delegation, we're getting that client to have multiple points of contact so that at the end of the day, they can and they will learn other people in the agency. Huge for retention when someone leaves. So delegation is critical, but also how we delegate is key. So I'm going to start by saying at the 50,000 foot view, and then we'll walk our way down into the weeds of how we can get delegation to work inside an agency. So first and foremost, leadership has to sit down and identify how this works. I think we skip to just having a meeting and say, send this to Sally or Susie, go over here. That's great. But let's be honest, when people go back to their desks, it's not always pretty or perfect. And the first step is truly looking at people's job descriptions. So who does what? And then does everybody understand that? It takes an adult to hear the same thing 22 times. I know, fall off your chair. Maybe it takes a teenager more, but we have to at first start by writing it down. Who does what? Who does this? Who does that? That's step number one. And it must be impeccable. And after the job description, maybe create like a little org chart with like little buttons underneath bullet points that say this is what everybody does, because we need to encourage that. The next step that we have to figure out after job descriptions is, okay, how do you get from my desk to whoever's going to handle that? Now, everybody's management systems are different. Epic has a great feature, if you didn't know about it, called work groups, where you can put things in there and people just work off the next one. So instead of assigning it to a person, it's assigned to a group that can be monitored and people can keep taking the next one, which is phenomenal. Love, love, love work groups. It could be via automation. Maybe it goes automatically to a virtual assistant. But the key is, whatever it is, how does it go from desk A to desk B? I think that that's really, really, really important. There is, especially in the service world, a lot of like mental talk that goes into, well, they're busy. They just said they were so busy. I don't want to give it to them and make them feel bad. On the disc profile, service people tend to be S's or C's. And so happiness is their way of life. But that's not what we need to do. If it's supposed to go there, it's supposed to go there. Remember, My retired mother, if I call her right now, is going to tell me how busy she is. And I want to be like, I'm recording podcasts on a Sunday, sweet pea. And I just think it has to be just that point blank. And the team has to trust the process, and leadership needs to be managing everybody's workload to ensure things are happening correctly. So it should be desk A to desk B based on this job description. How does it get there? And then if I'm the one delegating, I'm going to say this very clearly. Maybe you need to back it up, play it again a couple times, but whoever delegates does not need to have open activities to check and follow up. When that work comes back, you need to check it, great, but hopefully that we burn that off because of trust, or there's a manager that's checking that and you don't have to worry about it. But I do find that those things are absolutely critical, that once it's delegated, it doesn't necessarily come back for a whole, interrogation. There needs to be auditing along the way. So job description, org chart with what it is, clearly how it gets to who does it go to, what can get there. And then the last one is audit, 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 double audit. Make sure people are holding on to those activities, because when they hold on to those activities, they're not able to do the rest of their job, thus violating their own job description. And now we have drop balls, delays, people burned out or crispy, and that doesn't work. So leadership has to be impeccably clear, prepared, and ready to audit when delegation happens. Another reason, then from there, okay, so now it's live, right? The delegation's happening. We understand. You can 110% expect this, which is whoever's delegating the work will become the, delegatees, police officers. So and so didn't do this right. I had to wait 2 hours for this. I don't like it because I don't know where it is. They put this on here and that's not the way I like it. So there's some powerful words you're going to hear every time I send it over. They don't do it the way I like it. My clients would rather work with me. These are emotional statements, and I need you to cue in on some of those words that are emotional, because facts, not feelings. Maybe 100 things went over and one was wrong. That's a 99% success ratio. Who wouldn't take that? Oh, and by the way, if you audit your own work, you might find issues too. Just throwing it out there. Okay. So as we're going through these very key steps, you have to understand that most people want perfection. They want control. They want to basically never, ever, ever have to clean up anything. And there's a scarcity. They're fearful, uncertain, and have doubt that this is the way to go. And I always remind people of this one item. And this is a powerful one that y'all can use. How did everybody learn insurance? Well, they took those entry level items, right? They took those very, very bare minimum entry level items and they learned, and they skinned their knees and they got coached. And that's why they have the insurance career that they have today. So when we don't delegate, we try to control and hoard everything. Not only are we not hitting our potential up top, where we should be spending our time and getting to cross sells and saves and go home with a clear head, we're controlling and holding on. And we're robbing a whole generation of their insurance career, which is unacceptable, people. Unacceptable. So you need to sit down with the team members who want to hoard the work and tell them that they're being selfish, because they are being selfish. When they don't get out and give people other things to do, they're being selfish and they're robbing people. And some, if we go down in another layer of the psyche, right? Some do this because they would rather do the easy work than the hard work, right? So we also have to identify in the right seat in the bus. Are they really more of a service rep than an account manager? And should they just be crushing big stacks of work and get them off the phones? I mean, there are some people here that do not like being on the phone with customers. You should not be in a service role or a sales role. You should be on the back end. And you do have value, but different levels of value. So again, we get the job descriptions, we set the process, we roll it out, we hold people accountable, and we audit. And when those challenges come up, they're opportunities, right? So they're opportunities for success. A lot of times the items that will come up are maybe an unclear process or a mistake. Leadership needs to address that. So you need to kind of cut the person delegating out from to manage this person. You don't want that. You also want to make sure the delegator is not sending in literally the most wonky, crazy, just difficult things to the support team. I see this all the time, where as opposed to giving the support team a nice, easy layup, we give them the log cabin with a pit bull with a trampoline that's growing marijuana, that also has a 30-year roof. Like, no, okay, no. You need to get a lot of the easy routine stuff. And I think the problem is the people always give us the pushback, I could do it faster. Well, can you? Like, if we really timed it, you probably can't. You just think you can. You just don't like to get rid of that control. And I think some people are worried about delegating is like, now I'm going to do this other stuff that I'm freaked out about. Maybe my team needs sales training, cross sell training, remarket training. And so it's easier to be, I'm so busy and stay small than it is to explore yourself and develop your skills. So, done right, delegations mean that the entry level team is building and your account managers are escalating up to a higher level too. And without delegation, we can't really scale. So this is unbelievably critical. So when you hear those emotional words as you go through and you get this done, I want you to think they're emotional and that this is an opportunity to reset. Now, once people have 10 good experiences generally, so they send 10 quotes to be done, they send 10 endorsements, they send 10 billing issues to be done, people build trust. Okay. And trust is key to the delegation and setting that up so that it's really, really important. The last thing I'm going to tell you guys on delegation is, I think, pretty important too, is that there needs to be a team. And sometimes I think it's like, oh, well, they're licensed, not licensed. We put everybody in these little buckets and we don't really build these bridges that I think we need to. So that'd be having team meetings together, everybody looking at the processes together, having lunch together, maybe doing some team building exercises together. But, it's really hard when I don't know the support person. And this is why I get so frustrated with agencies when they have people say, well, I sent the VA. I'm like, no, they have a name. Like, they have a name. They might even have more education than you. Use their name. But the virtual assistants, that's where you're delegating to, need to be on the team meetings. You need to know them. You need to know their kids' names. You need to know their favorite color. Teamwork helps make the dream work, but it builds up that trust, which is so critical for delegation, which is another great reason to look at our agency efficiency program. Team can go through it together and talk about how to tier clients and how to move the work back and forth and how to make sure we're focused on the best activities and excelling at our careers. Definitely that could be an opportunity there. And so really, really important for everybody to understand leadership plays a big role in delegation. I think we just kind of think we set it up and then it all magically works, and it doesn't. It needs to be checked on. It needs to be brought back to light. It needs to be talked through. There needs to be team building that happens between all these different parties that are working on the same clients together. We need to celebrate together. We need to deal with our challenges together and not compartmentalize it so much. But ultimately, we also need to unpack everybody's fears and work through them. And I think it's once you delegate, it's time to set the account manager's goals higher, or the salespeople. If you're delegating quoting, their sales goals need to be much, much higher, and work through some of it. The last one I'm just going to throw out there is just the need to use technology. We all really, really need to use technology to its fullest to support delegation. Whether that's your management system, somebody should be engaging with your management system of understanding how it works, whether it's raters, whether it's things like Canopy Connect or mobile phone apps. We all need to be embracing technology, not as a mandate to our clients, but as an opportunity for them to see that they could request a certificate online, that they could make their payment here. That frees up everybody's time so that we can give more attention and better love and serve our clients. But almost every agency walk into, everybody says, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. Well, why are we so busy doing these really low level tasks that we can help automate? And so challenge yourself to learn technology. Don't just go backwards and think, oh, well, no big deal. I guess it's just the way it is. We want to make sure we're on there. So those are our tips, but take a look at our agency efficiency program. That could be a great team building activity. We'll see you guys in our next podcast. We appreciate all of you.